Welcome, everybody, to Greg Heym's Crossing the Line. We're always laughing when we're starting, and Shar's not even here to make us laugh.
I will say, it's nice to see some youth and someone with hair on the show, aside from just me here.
Well,
So
you know,
nice.
we're easing back. It's been too dude-focused. We're trying to let the ladies back into the
you need
show.
some female energy.
Well, we had Lisa Ray a couple weeks ago.
Lisa
we
was
have
on
you.
last week. She was on last week.
2 weeks ago.
Oh, was that 2 weeks ago?
Yes. And thanks for watching. Well, you know Lone Daddy himself, Scott Nadler, who makes us wait because he's always getting his hair done, I think, before we do the show, just to show off that he has it and we don't. And we have the lovely Morgan Wilkins here, who's excited to be here.
Thank you, Ray.
You know, we're glad to have, again, the voice. So we're spanning multiple generations here. We got X.
We are.
You're a millennial, I assume. And we got Gen Z.
Yep, representing.
All right. I think we're good to go.
Covering all the bases.
You know, we just got to go find a baby boomer and, you know, a greatest generation person. I think we got it covered.
Ray's right there.
Oh, no.
Hey, he resembles that remark.
Not that already.
Well, we're going to try to have a optimistic, happy day, but, you know, we don't necessarily have the best news, and New York sports teams had the worst weekend.
Oh, my gosh.
You know, congratulations to the Jets for officially being the worst team in the NFL. You're the only team without a win and without a takeaway and without a future and without proper ownership or management. So good luck with that.
I was watching the games yesterday with some friends, and there was a friend of mine, Jen, who said she doesn't watch sports at all. And she said, why are the Jets green and the Giants blue and white and red? And she said the Jets should be red, white, and blue because it's like fighter jets, very patriotic. And for the green giant, the Giants should be green. I was like, for someone who doesn't watch sports, I was like, that makes a lot of sense.
No, but it works better for the Jets to be green because what is their nickname? Because of their futility? Gang green. They've always been called that.
I know, but for someone who doesn't, that was her observation. I thought that was pretty.
That was a great observation.
Insightful.
For someone who doesn't follow sports, that makes a ton of sense. You got to admit that.
Nothing about the Jets makes sense. I'd like to find, other than they stink, and they're always going to stink.
Oh my gosh.
They have the longest playoff drought now of any of the four professional sports.
And it's not only consistent. Are they losing, the games are like really bad. Like the performance is bad.
Well, they did lose 2 games on the final play, but they didn't play particularly well in those games. They just snuck back into it. But it's just a culture of losing that's tolerated. And they can talk all they want. And Aaron Glenn came in, we're the Jets. It's like, no, you don't want to be the Jets. You want to be somebody else. And, you know, just do it for the Jets.
But then you have a team like the Yankees where the expectations are always high.
And losing by football scores.
They are.
Yeah,
they're giving up by 2 touchdowns.
Bad scores the past 2 games.
These games got out of hand.
They beat the Red Sox, though. Right? It's not all that
no, but
really
Toronto
matters.
is right up there. Toronto and Tampa are right up there with the Red Sox in terms of hatred. I mean, it's just...
I don't know. It's still... There's still levels
I know.
to
The Red Sox, it's a 100-year thing. But, you know, we've had the better of them most of that time.
Yes.
Usually we only fear seeing Houston in the playoffs. But, you know, since they beat us in 3 championship series.
Right.
Anyhow, we'll see. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I was talking about this with my parents because I watched the game with my parents over the weekend. And the deficits were so big, it got us to talking like, what team has come back from that big a deficit?
Well, we don't like to mention that because the first team to come back
Is it like
from...
the Red Sox or something?
Yeah. We always said if the Red Sox were ever going to beat the Yankees, it would be a biblical proportion meltdown.
It was.
And the Yankees were up 3-0. They were up in the 9th inning of Game 4. Mariano Rivera on the mound, and we wound up losing 4 in a row. Like it was the worst nightmare. But I think a lot of us said, all right, they probably deserve to do that to us because we'd done it to them so many times. So, but you never get tired of beating the Red Sox. But anyhow, before we get to the economics news, which we're going to try to make it fun. Because isn't economics supposed to be fun? I didn't hear a clap there, Ray. Thank you.
Not that fun, I guess.
By the way, Ray's back from his vacation.
Yay!
When you need to tell the audience to clap, you know, it's like a stand-up comedian telling the audience, this is where you're supposed to laugh. You know, I don't know.
Where's the sign in the back that says laugh now?
Yeah, well, all right, fine. So this might be a good time to take a break and coming to you, as always, from Studio 1873. Be right back after these important messages.
Do you have a big move coming up? I'm Scott Nadler with CrossCountry Mortgage, and I've got the loan to match your dream home. Whether it's your first or your fifth, I'll make the process quick and easy. Call me today. Let's make it happen.
Sedgh & Zuckerman is a boutique residential law firm guiding you and your clients every step of the way with a solution-oriented approach. Make sure to work with a deal maker and not a deal breaker. Contact us today at sznylaw.com.
So we're gearing up for a jobs report. It was supposed to come out on Friday, and the government shut down.
We were so excited for it also.
Well, we're excited to see what the damage is. It's like when you miss the beginning of the Jet game and go, how much are they down by already?
Right.
Like that. It was maybe the morbid curiosity that was getting us. So there was no release, and there won't be any more releases until consumer price index doesn't come out for another 2 weeks anyway. So we'll see what happens. But we had ADP, so we went from PLS to ADP. 3 letters. What does it matter, right?
Which I think carried a lot more weight this time around, because knowing that the BLS report wasn't ultimately going to come out,
Right.
ADP was going to carry a lot more weight this time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I apologized in the blog for not mentioning them enough, because they do seem to be doing a better job. And for those of you at home or on the train or wherever you may be, so we have the federal data that comes out, which comes from the payroll survey and the household survey. The payroll survey is 121,000 businesses. That's who they strive for. Do all of them participate? No. We've been told by them too, one of the reasons the data is being revised so massively is the participation. It's voluntary to give BLS this data. It's just gone down, the percentages. And then they have the household survey, which is about 60,000 people. ADP, since they're paying so many people that are working in the U.S., covers more than 26 million employees. So we're talking about a pretty good thing. Yeah. But they also use the QCEW data. I saw Neil Richardson, their chief economist, talking about it. Mm-hmm. They go back and revise the same way the BLS does,
right?
Which is interesting. But the QCEW, it is the most accurate data because 95% of businesses have to fill out that data at the state level that they need. So the problem is it lags by 6 months or more. Yep. That's why we don't wait, because we're very impatient. Is that a Gen Z thing?
We want the data immediately. That's a very Gen Z thing to be
right.
very impatient.
If it's not up,
instant gratification.
Yeah, attention spans, it's all connected.
And you got to explain it within 5 seconds or you lose the audience.
Or we lose interest. So you got to be quick.
All right, I'll try to be very quick. I'll talk like this right now.
Start talking at 2 times speed from now on.
No, you did not hit the twice speed thing. So the one thing about ADP is it's based on private sector employees, not government workers. So it's talking about private sector employment, which is what's really important anyway. Mm-hmm. We always say that one of the things we didn't like about the economy was a lot of the job creation was in government or government-supported jobs. So their data goes back to 2010, and they're always updating their databases. So it's a pretty good real-time indicator. They pull their data about the same time as the BLS, about the middle of the month. So what do they find? Employment down by 32,000 jobs. So that alone is enough to say, change the channel. That's not happy.
Yeah.
But that's the biggest decline in the ADP data since March of 23. So talking about 2.5 years, right? Mm-hmm. Economists were looking for an increase of 45,000 private sector jobs. So that didn't go well. That's a big miss. As my son used to say when he was a little kid, anytime I said a joke and he didn't think it was funny, he'd go, miss.
I love that.
Don't encourage him.
That's so funny. I love that.
Or he'd just give me the thumbs down. He'd go like this and then he'd shake his head with the thumbs down. Now he says worse things to me because he's 18. All right, so that's strike 2. And for strike 3 here, August hiring, their data was originally a 54,000 job gain, and now that's a 3,000 job loss. So 3 strikes and you're out.
And three of the last 4 ADP reports that came out were all negative.
Right.
Not a great sign. And if you think, we talk about the Fed a lot, and we talk about the Fed's lack of planning ahead and thinking about where things are going as opposed to where they are right now. I have a lot of friends now who have kids, and some of them, when they're going somewhere with their kid, or the kid's 2 years old or 3 years old, normally it's the mom. the mom is planning everything ahead, right? Like, were your parents like this, or were you like this with your son?
I am like, I have a nickname among my nieces and nephews,
I love this one.
UG. You think it stands for Uncle Greg.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it stands for Uncle General.
Okay.
Because part of this is I have 3 brothers that are very disorganized. Like I never want to do anything group with them because they don't plan ahead. They let the kids determine what they're going to do. My son is used to this. Like if we're going somewhere, we're leaving at this time. We're doing one kid. It's easier. You know, the more kids you got, then when they outnumber you, you might have a problem. Yeah. Or if you're an athlete, you might have enough for a football team. But yeah, that is the thing. But I take care of all the arrangements.
Yeah. So I mean, I have some friends who just wing it. They just show up. They're like, whatever happens, happens. We'll deal with it. Whereas other ones are like, we're going to Aunt Judy's. She has a sprinkler. The kid might go in the sprinkler, so let's bring a bathing suit. Let's bring a change of clothes. So they're prepared for everything.
Running through the sprinkler as a kid. We used to do that.
Love
all the
that.
time.
No, I love it. I love it.
It's so cold though.
That was the best.
But like
I
Liz,
did that too. I wasn't, too old for that.
Oh, no.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll have
like
a sprinkler edition.
Me out. You'd be like, did you just go swimming in pools? And I'd be like, no.
Or were you just like on a screen the entire time?
Yeah, exactly.
While
I'm
there's a
like,
sprinkler
no.
going on outside. Yeah.
I was running in the sprinkler. Just want to make that clear.
No, but just kind of listening to the Fed. Even Austin Goolsbee was on CNBC over the weekend or on Friday. And, he said in the same interview, he said the job market is stable.
Right.
And then like minutes later, it's deteriorating. It's like, well, first of all, how can you say that it's stable based on all the reports that we've been seeing?
In the same sentence.
And then the same sentence, you're saying that things are not so great,
it,
right? So it's like this Fed that's managing all this. Are they being proactive or are they being reactive?
Yeah.
And it kind of goes back to like the way parents are with their kids and like have they have a better experience or not.
100%. Yeah, but I feel like you need that consistency, or people are looking to government agencies for that consistency. And if they're not finding it, then especially I think for my generation, it can create a lot of uncertainty in your next move and what you want to do.
Well, it's hard, right? Because in one sense, they want to reassure people it's okay.
Right.
Like the labor market's okay, but we need rate cuts right now.
Right.
It's like, well, wait a minute. Well, which one is it? You can't
Yeah.
be both.
Mm-hmm.
And that is for people who don't understand how all of this works. Like how many times does Scott hear, when's the Fed going to lower mortgage rates? And then he's got to tell them the story about 10-year treasuries, or just show one of the many clips where we've described it here on the show. The one good bit of information, and this is similar to BLS, so these seem to be higher increases, wages are up. Mm-hmm. And ADP does it a nice way. So over the last year, wages up 4.5% for those who didn't change jobs.
I was going to say for job stayers,
and
right?
Job stay. I like didn't change job. Job stayer sounds weird.
Okay.
Or 6.6% for those who did. Now, one of the things we'd heard in like the JOLTS reports, which were people were getting less to move to other jobs. In many cases, they were doing it for like 20% more. Well, they were not getting the same increases.
Correct.
I rephrased that. And thank you for correcting me.
Yeah, of course.
Get it right, Greg.
Just don't correct your boss too much.
Don't make a habit of
No,
it.
don't make a habit.
Okay.
No, that's okay.
Laugh at his jokes.
I saw that coming.
And don't correct him
Don't
all
correct
that
him more
much.
than once,
You'll be
Sympathize
Fair.
when my teams
Yeah.
play terribly on the weekends.
100%.
So, and what another thing ADP does with the data that's interesting is they break it down by industry. And the biggest decline was in leisure and hospitality. And I guess that might make sense. Job growth is slowing. People a little worried. Maybe now's not the time to take that trip or go eat out a lot or, that. And what's leading the gains? Education and health services, which is all government supported for the most part.
Yeah.
This was interesting. Firms with more than 500 employees added workers. Those with ones under 500 reduced their workforce. And you go, okay, well, you think, don't larger companies have more to cut? Like wouldn't they do more?
Yeah.
But you think about it, the smaller ones have to be lean, right? Because a lot of them may not be around long.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, if you were going to start a business, Morgan, what would it be?
Wow.
Podcasting?
You're already on the show. What's
True. Okay. If I was going to start, I don't know if that's a great question. I don't think I came prepared with an answer, but
That's the whole point. Wait do you see what I asked Scott
probably-
next?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, something definitely like online retail, something like that.
Because then you don't need a footprint. You could just do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Anyway.
it's definitely easier to run your businesses from online. I think definitely if you venture into needing warehouses and things like that, then you kind of tap into a different level of it. But yeah, I would say some sort of some sort of online revenue. I mean, there's so many different options these days. But
All right,
what prompted that question?
I'm a great host. What are you talking about? I went to podcast school.
Oh, okay.
No, they just let anybody come in here with it, get front. Podcast you.
Podcast you.
Or
PU. Yeah.
if you remember from Bullwinkle, what's the matter you? I know we're dating ourselves, me and Ray, but we're gonna reminisce about when we used to have hair after the show. That's what we do after this. We look in the mirror and go, what happened? And Shar's not even here this time. We can make fun of him.
FaceTime him.
Yeah, well, he probably would pick up.
Yeah,
Aren't you
would.
guys
for those
filming now?
listening,
Probably
I
would,
am
yeah.
not Shar.
No.
If you're watching, you'll see there's no resemblance. But also just those listening.
Not even close.
Yeah, I mistook. I get you guys confused all the time. I don't know what the
I
problem is.
know. That's why I had to clear it up.
Well, we appreciate that. Well, what kind of business you're going to open?
I've got
Or
some
do you feel
restaurant.
you-
I've got some
Restaurant idea?
restaurant ideas.
Okay.
I had chips, dips, and sips.
Love that.
Kind of speaks for itself.
Nobody else came up with that by now?
No,
That's
it's a good
surprising.
one. I had a creperie that I wanted to open up.
You think there's a big market for that?
Holy Crepe.
Oh no, I do love that.
Planet of the Crepes.
That's hilarious.
Heard it through the grapevine. You got a lot of options here.
Now I feel like you told Scott this question before you told
No.
me because he's got about five
It
answers.
wouldn't be as funny if I. Well, he's he's an
How do you
independent,
have
like
all that in his
self-starting
back
guy.
pocket? Those are all amazing answers.
I've done a lot of these already.
This is like episode 82. So you think I have found a way to just make money and retire by now?
All right. What about you, Greg?
I've never been entrepreneurial.
Really?
I guess. Yeah, I guess I don't know. I found something I think I do well, and I mean the gigging is
This
is
cop-out
kind of
answer
a
here,
second-
Morgan.
I
You
know.
gonna
He's
accept
like,
this?
You know what? I'm
It's
so
true.
content.
I always thought maybe open my own consulting business.
Mm-hmm.
Find marketing person, web person, and provide like full service to agents. Because a lot of them need that stuff because they can't get everything from their company. So that's, but my whole life has been an accident anyway. And I say it all the time, government shutdown
Most of our
got me
lives
into
are.
real estate. Like the whole thing, how I came to marry my wife, like it's all something that doesn't make any sense. Like I've
Everything
taken a long
happens
way
That's just
around.
life. That's just
Yeah.
life.
I know.
That's life
100%.
doing life.
Okay, well, it doesn't have to be so harsh all the time. All right, another thing, speaking of harsh, so remember those layoffs, the Doge cuts, right? So now the Wall Street Journal said that last week about 100,000 federal workers finally came off the payrolls. The severance went away because the fiscal year ended. That's why we have a lockdown, because we don't have a new budget, and it's October.
Yes.
So think about that, plus the possibility of cuts because of the shutdown. And basically what economists are saying about this labor market is, we're in this case where hiring is non-existent, but layoffs are not high. So it's the low hire, low fire economy. That is the buzzword. So tweet that out, make a TikTok about it. And,
In my spare time.
okay.
I don't
Write
have a lot of
letters.
it. I don't have a lot of it. My boss is really keeps me working all the time.
Man, that boss.
Sounds like a great man, now that I think about it. All right, so, but now, as a resident Gen Zer,
Yes.
now people coming out of college, now they keep hearing on one side that AI is taking all their jobs. Used to be you had a business school degree, you were going to get a job.
Can I actually interject and ask you a question? You both a question. Have you heard of Tilly Norton, the
No.
AI actress that they're trying
Oh,
to
no, I didn't
sell
know that
out?
was the name. I saw the video of it.
That's the name of her. Yeah, her name's Tilly Norton, and the creators kind of put her out on Instagram, and he's like
Looks
genuinely
very
trying
real.
to sell. Yeah, she looks incredibly real. But of course, SAG is coming in, being very passionate about the fact
Because
that
she's
this
not
is
paying
like,
dues.
Yeah, well, she's not a human, so she has no rights or protections.
Think
she has
about it.
nothing. But to your point, I think was leading from your question that now, of course, SAG and actors and actresses are getting very passionate about the fact that their jobs are now being threatened. And then it's
Well,
also,
welcome to the real world,
well,
actors.
Exactly. Everyone's like, why should they be, not be included in that when AI is coming for everyone's,
They're actually going to have to behave and be likable now.
guess so.
So you got that where even if you go to business school, there may not be a job there for you. And not everybody can make millions in social media. Not everybody has the talents of me. They can host a podcast, carry Nadler for how many episodes. It's not easy.
Oh my gosh.
Okay? So
What
are you hearing from your friends? Now, you have this great job working for the best boss ever.
Best job ever.
So. Or what they're actually studying may not be relevant in 2 years. I have friends that work in software engineering, and a lot of those jobs have been taken away. So, just to piggyback off of Greg's question.
Yeah, definitely. No, I feel like a lot of younger people do feel like the investment that they're making in college, whether that be financially or the time that they're, spending there, they're not seeing that return when they leave in the jobs that they're being offered or the jobs that are available. So I definitely think it's more of a consideration for a lot of young people now. To not go to college and to not spend that money and to not invest that time and to start your own businesses and, try and, forge your own path. So, but I do think there's another side to it. College really is beneficial for a lot of social growth and independent growth. And sometimes I think if you didn't get that in your adolescence, then going to college really forces you to, do your own laundry, take care of yourself. It's like the little things. So I think that, it's still very useful for those reasons, even if you don't find it maybe as useful for you're going to use your degree 100% after you leave. Because I do think that's true. I think a lot of people, have these degrees in college and they're like, what I'm doing for the rest of my life is definitely not what I went to college for. So,
and that's most people.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
I'm the rare exception to that, but yeah. No, I went for economics. I'm an economist for 33 years. My brother, from the time he could talk, wanted to be a doctor, and he's a doctor. Mm-hmm. The other two, not so much. But,
I mean, I was a public policy and law major. And then when I decided not to go to law school, then I went and got my master's in journalism from Syracuse because I wanted something.
Don't say rival. Well, they're not a Big East school anymore, but don't mention former Big East schools.
Orange?
Yeah, no, we don't like that.
Can't mention that in the room of St.
Rick
John's.
Pitino does not want to hear.
Oh my gosh.
Well, you're not even a rival anymore because St. John's the best team in the nation.
I was going to say,
that.
they're beating them, so you're not even worried about it.
I think they had the best transfer portal. They finished last year.
Yeah.
They were winning this year.
They were great.
But, even just speaking for myself, I think that even my decision to maybe go back to school for something else, I think a lot of people my age are not doing that. That's even further. Like once they've gone to college, they're not going for that further step of education. I think
you got to see a path. You can't just, like in the 80s when I was going to college, people said, oh, just study what you like. You'll get a job. College is a guaranteed way to get a job. And it kind of was for a while.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden the 90s come and it's like not that simple.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And, I went to grad school to change careers. I was going to become an accountant because there wasn't a lot of economics jobs. And then I realized I didn't like accounting that much, even though I did very well in it. And then I got the job at Rebney, and then that was it. Like I was going to do this because I was meant to do this. I knew somehow back then that 20 some odd years later, I was going to be hosting a phenomenal podcast.
Of course you did.
Ray and Lena were going to change my life here. Lena's like, I take all the credit. Yes, you should. Clap for Lena and Ray.
Yes.
The best.
But I think the one thing is you have to see a path. Like people tell me, oh, I'm going to go to grad school. I always say, why? Mm-hmm. What are you going to be able to do then that you can't do now?
Yeah.
And I think just to get the education, it's always good to have. Well, it's too expensive to be always, all you say it's good to have, that's enough. Mm-hmm. My master's degree did not help me get a job or get higher pay because I'd gotten the better job before I finished the master's degree.
Yeah.
Was it a waste of time? I learned some useful things. By the way, here's the most useful thing I learned in grad school. We were doing papers, and the professor said, remember, only present the highlights because nobody cares about the lowlights. Now, that may sound very obvious, but if you've ever had friends that have written papers that are so big, it took a whole tree to make it. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things that I've always embraced, and I think it's maybe a better business writer.
Yeah.
Nobody cares if something doesn't change, and, you go with the headlines, and that's how you get them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I heard someone say, some business tycoon said, don't follow your passion, follow your work. Mm-hmm. And I love that. Everyone can say, I want to be Mark Zuckerberg. But are you willing to do what Mark Zuckerberg did to build his
Well, that's what I'm talking
company,
about being
right?
entrepreneurial. It's hard.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great example because I think a lot of kids, especially in my generation, have looked at people like Mark Zuckerberg and they're like, I want to do what he did, so I don't need to finish college, right? But you also don't see how much he did to then create the empire that he has created. And you have to be willing to do both, right? If you don't want to go the college route, that's completely fine. There's plenty of people who have been successful not doing it. But there's also an exuberant amount of work that comes with that. You know?
Yeah, it's with athletes also. You know, if you have a kids who grow up wanting to be a professional athlete, when you actually see what these athletes do on a day-to-day basis,
It's a job.
it's
People
not
forget-
it's not that much fun. I mean, these guys, these women, men are waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning. They're putting their bodies through hell to get to where they are. And unless you're willing to do that, you're not going to be an athlete.
No,
It's like my gigging. Like people go, oh, you're doing what you love. I'm like, it's 3 hours of work. I'm standing for almost 3 hours playing.
Right.
It's not fun. My back hurts. My knee hurts. My thumb hurts. You know, you got to do it for the passion.
They need the music, though. They need to hear you.
Yeah.
You got to give the fans what they
Do it for
want,
the
right?
people.
I'm trying. You know, it's getting a little harder. But no, I think too with younger generations, you've got to get advice from people in the know.
Yeah.
You know, like my parents did not know the world I was going into. Like they had no idea. They didn't know what a
Me neither.
401k was because they had pensions. You know, like they didn't understand that. So
Yeah.
we all love our parents and we rely on them to teach us many things.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I kind of view AI. AI is like having my dad in my computer. Because if I didn't know like how to fix something, first he'd lecture me about why didn't I know that, but then he would show me.
I guess
Like, that's
AI
kind of what
avoids the
AI does,
lecture.
but
You
with
just
like
get the information.
you know, a load statement I'm trying to do, or a calculation that I'm having a problem figuring out.
Yeah.
AI tells me like that. But I think that's the thing. That's why mentors are a good thing. Somebody you know who has experience, you know, in your industry or knows you well enough to know what you should be looking at.
Yeah.
And it is
Kind of like
hard.
what Greg is.
Yes.
Is to everyone he knows.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
try.
And me.
It's
Everyone's mentor.
Yes. Exactly.
it's
for good reason because you're extremely knowledgeable.
Well, as Steve Jobs said, the biggest mistake most people make is never asking for help. He used to do it all the time.
Yeah.
He used to call the head of HP out of a phone book, like he didn't care.
Yeah, I do think that's my generation struggles with that. I think even like myself, sometimes not asking so many questions. When a lot of people always encourage, ask all the questions.
I will say, though, you can find the answers, though, easier, right? Like your
Yeah,
generation
that's
has
true.
every
More
outlet
accessibility
possible
to all
and
of
system
that.
possible to find an answer. So
Right.
if you're
Yeah.
building a desk, you can go on YouTube and say, this exact model of desk, how
Mm-hmm.
do you build it? And there's a step-by-step tutorial on how to do it.
Yeah.
So
No,
I
it's
think
so
I think a
true.
lot of it not asking questions is because they're relying on that, but you need to have that happy balance
Yeah, you
there.
do because the human experience is also very valuable, right?
100%.
And that's something that chat can't give you. So.
Well, yeah, but it's going on what Scott said too. The independence is good. I one of the ways I think I've been successful is I think this starts in college. You have to learn to teach yourself because professor up there lecturing for 55 minutes or whatever it is can't touch on everything you need to know, or half the time is saying things that aren't even relevant a lot of times. So I'm telling my son this now, like you have to be able to teach a lot of this stuff to yourself, and that'll serve you well as you progress in your career.
Yeah.
But you never should think that your job is secure and can't be replaced.
No.
People are like, oh, you don't have like your diplomas hanging up on your walls or anything in your office. I go, no, because I don't want to. I want to think that I can be fired at any time. I'm not giving anybody ideas, but I think it's that has kept me honest and kept me working hard. And the fact that my mother still yells at me about things like this. She's you know, she broke her hip. That's not stopping her from telling me, you know, what I'm doing wrong.
No.
Now she's got to do it from Texas, but you know. Hi, Mom. Hopefully you're feeling better.
Yes.
Today's actually would have been my parents' anniversary, so I have to call my mom.
Aw. My parents' anniversary is October 21st.
All right, well,
So same month.
we got to get your dad on the show
We do.
because he's got to tell a
You and my
story.
dad would be so funny.
'Cause
I
we're
would
St.
love to
John's
see you go.
grads.
You're St. John's.
Oh, wow.
Like, you're Yankees Jets, so you know the struggle.
Well, we know a good team that wins often and a team that never wins. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It would be very fun.
All right, so the last thing on this to put a bow on all this stuff is wages rising faster than prices still. So people are still buying stuff. GDP was 3.8% growth rate in the second quarter. It was probably right near there in the third quarter. So for people thinking a recession's around the corner or stagflation or any of that, no. People are still buying stuff at a very healthy clip, and that's 70% of GDP. Like I said, the Fed's probably on track for the 2 rate cuts this month in December.
Yep.
But, and we'll get into this in part 2 of the program, those of you that are sitting around waiting for mortgage rates to fall because the employment data is softening, look what's happened the last 2 weeks. Mortgage rates have gone up.
Yep.
So if you need another reminder about the fact that Fed rate cuts do not translate into mortgage rate cuts, it's you can find it on any given week, it seems.
By the way, this is one of the only shows that talks about that. Most of the articles that we read,
well, don't tip off the other shows. They're going to steal our material.
I'm not saying which ones, but most of the other ones are giving false data, and this is real, and we have the evidence to show it. But even so, there's still a lot of articles that get published that show that like the actual headline will say mortgage rates are coming down as a result of what the Fed is doing, which is we know is not true.
Well, it's funny too. Like even the headline, the Fed cuts rates. They're not cutting rates, like all the rates. They're cutting one rate,
right?
And it's a rate that isn't used anymore, the federal funds rate. So there's so much misnomers that go into this stuff. No wonder people are confused.
Yeah.
But that's why we're here. And we're going to give you some more knowledge right after these important messages.
What do you really need to know about buying or selling a home? First, it's serious business. And it's complicated. There's a lot of money on the table, and emotion too. You need an agent who knows the ropes. So, whether you're buying or selling your home, work with professionals who have a mastery of the craft.
Hi, I'm Evan Greenberg with Langdon Title. I specialize in title insurance across New York, helping real estate attorneys, agents, and brokers close with confidence. I solve problems fast and keep your deals moving. Contact me anytime.
And we're back here with Morgan Wilkins and Loan Daddy himself, Scott Nadler. So it's funny, we're talking about scary things, lions and tigers and bears, oh my. Weak payroll growth, people worried about their future.
Is there good news, Greg?
If you looked at the stock market, you wouldn't think anything was wrong. You know, it had a great September, and the irony is September historically is the worst month for stocks. So they just said, no, we're just going to shrug that off. S&P 500 up 3% in September. Great for the quarter, up like 15% so far this year. As Alfred E. Newman would say in every Mad Magazine edition, what me worry? You know, I say it's the ultimate mood indicator. It's all about the future. They don't care what happened. They don't care, yesterday was yesterday. It's kind of like the Gen Zers. It's just all about the next 90 seconds of video I'm watching. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm hip. I get it. All right. So
your financial advisors are probably calling you now. You know, when things are going well, they're going to get the call, hey, how are things going? You can see the stock market's doing well. But when it's down like 1,000 points, the stock market's correcting, you don't hear from them.
They're going on vacation.
Yeah, they go away.
Send you to voicemail.
Exactly.
No, I manage my own money. I do have an MBA in finance.
That sounds right.
Well, the economists, we tend to like index funds because over the long haul, no managed fund beats the S&P 500 index because it's kind of tied to it anyway. All right, so let's move on to home sales. You know, it's funny, pending home sales when it comes out is totally anticlimactic. So we get the data for August, and pending home sales are signed contracts. But up 4%, better than expected, much better than expected. They're looking for it to be flat. talking about the lower rates, you know, and we saw that rates fell to an 11-month low. That's kind of changed. We'll get to that in a minute. But, I mean, with the job growth weakening, we shouldn't expect this to continue, right, Scott? I mean, there's a lot of pent-up demand for sure, and there's more inventory, so you expect to see decent sales. But you got to remember, this is a fraction of pre-pandemic when you look at a lot of these markets.
I don't know if you saw, Fannie Mae came out with their housing survey. What do they call it? Their housing survey expectations. And they're expecting by the end of this year for home price appreciation to be at 2.6%.
Year over year.
Year over year. Okay. And if you do the cumulative average over 5 years, that'd be 16% growth. That's what they're forecasting. So you buy a $500,000 home, in 5 years, that's $80,000 in growth.
When it used to go up 16% in a year.
In a year,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow.
But remember, when was it? It was a couple months ago, that article that came out that said there are 500,000 more sellers than buyers.
Yeah.
And people were really afraid about the housing market. So the author of that article, or where that data came from, I'm trying to remember. I think it was someone from Fannie Mae, maybe. Her original forecast for home price appreciation was negative 1%. She herself changed it to plus 1%. And the subsequent years going forward, she also revised higher. So even someone who was so had this doomsday outlook on housing had changed it, which is really, really interesting also.
Well, you think it's got to end at some point, right? Because home prices, year over year, they're still going up. Month to month, not so much.
Yeah.
But now, what does this do for your psyche and the young folks out there? Is this maybe, if we do see a slowdown, will they jump in? Or will they just go buy because they're working remote? This is the one thing that doesn't get talked about a lot with Gen Z. They can say they're never going to be able to afford a home, but they're buying more homes earlier than my generation or his, because now they can live wherever they want.
Yeah.
In the old days, we had to show up to an office,
Yeah, exactly. So you have to purchase a home.
Actually, we're not all in the same room. It's all being done via AI. We're going to have a cute little newborn baby come out and do the next segment.
Greg's actually in Texas right now.
Yes.
That is funny now, but in like 6 months,
When
that's not even going to be a joke.
No, it is so crazy. Yeah, I think, I don't think anything going on right now is honestly big enough to deter Gen Zers from purchasing. Like, I think that they're still ready for it. They're still, and we're also not really that afraid, I feel like, to be risky with our money. Like, I don't know if you guys feel the same way about that, but I feel like the younger generation is less afraid. Like when like the market, when there's uncertainty in the market, I feel like a lot of people want to hold on to their money, especially older generations. I don't feel like the same thing necessarily goes for Gen Z. I think that certainly aspects of it, everyone feels that way.
Well, you should take chances when you're younger, because when you're dealing with your nest egg right before retirement, you don't want to, put it on red on the roulette table.
Yeah. No,
Meme stocks, though, this generation can go on Reddit and figure out kind of what stocks are gonna pop, and they go all in.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And sometimes they could do very, very well, and sometimes they could do really, really,
really, really bad.
Really bad.
But yeah, exactly. Like, that's exactly what I'm saying. I think they're just way more risky with their money, and I think that does play to. We were talking about gambling before and things like that. Like, however easy it is for you to make money makes you more willing to be carefree with it, right? If it takes you a lot to work harder and earn your money, and it's taken a lot for it to get into your pocket, you're going to want to hold on to it, right? Because you're like, I don't want to have to go through what I went through to get it back in my pocket. But the way Gen Zers are making money these days, right? You can get a brand deal for $30,000 for doing one Instagram story. Like, that's
wait,
a lot of
am
money.
I getting $30,000, Lena? Is that
depending on
is
the
that
level
true?
of influencer you are? Like, it's certainly possible. People get way more than that.
Yeah, but that's rare. It's just like, a kid signs an NBA contract, or becomes a golfer or whatever. That's the one in a billion, odds.
It is, but it's not even like the most. It's not like Alex Earl, right? Like, she's on Dancing with the Stars now. She's a huge influencer, right? But it's like the lesser ones, people who don't even.
She's not influencing me. So how big should she be?
She's not. Are you sure?
She
about
might
that?
be. You might not even. You're wearing that shirt because of her.
Yeah, I was gonna say purple today.
It's fall,
very Gen
right?
Z of you.
Well.
It is spooky season. I'll give you that.
Hey, by the way, we opened our gig last week with Spooky. the classic
Nice.
song. It's because it mentions Halloween. So, and I'll be
Purple's
doing.
a spooky color.
I'm going to break out the Boris Karloff Mummy thing. I have a guitar that I got my son. It's a Kurt Hammock signature. He's the guitarist for Metallica, and it's got he loves these old horror movies. So I'll be doing a couple of gigs with the horror movie stuff painted on the guitar.
I love that. Very
Hopefully,
upbeat.
what I play doesn't scare people. Hopefully, that'll be tasty.
Hopefully your playing does not scare people. That would be.
No, it scares me.
Or
but
you said
nobody
what
else.
I play, not your playing.
Yeah, well,
Just clarifying.
Either or.
No, it's fun. But yeah, I think that I go back to the tech bubble 25 years ago. People were buying any stock that ended in .com. There was a joke that one person bought something.com because they thought it was a communist company. Like people, and they'd make money. I'd hear people on the train like, "Oh, thanks for that recommendation. That stock's up like 20%."
Right.
And she go, "I didn't recommend that stock. They bought the wrong stock and it went up." Like you could throw a dartboard. You had these old lady investment clubs and people were buying anything. When I was in grad school, I was buying stocks of companies I never heard of because my professor was mentioning it. Cisco being one notably, which is still around and still pretty profitable. But I think people, when you're young, you haven't worked 30 years to build that nest egg. So you're like, I'll make money back. But that's another thing. People just assume that I can keep working as long as I want, and that's not the way it works. Just like an athlete can say, I'm going to play till I'm 40. No, you're not going to decide that. Ownership is going to say, you're done. You're out.
Yeah.
I think people
LeBron is doing it.
Well, because LeBron can still ball.
LeBron can still ball.
Bronny, not so much, but LeBron can still do it.
Back to real estate, though, for a second. So I host a lot of broker open houses. And I did one last week, had about 30 brokers there. It was really great. And one side that people don't see is the collaboration that brokers have with each other. These are brokers from different firms. Someone's trying to sell a home, and you have the brokers all coming together to talk about the home. And it was a unique property. It was kind of like an oddly shaped property. And I'm not great at walking into an empty room and deciding where things are going. I don't know how you guys are with that. Like, are you good at walking into like an empty, staging an apartment?
No, I do. I find that like the most fun part.
Okay,
Putting
amazing.
together an apartment.
And you?
Do you know when you take those tests in like middle school or high school?
Putting like blocks together?
No,
shapes?
square pegging around. No, they used to take these aptitude tests.
Yeah.
And Ray will remember this. He's closest to my age here.
Yeah. The greatest generation.
So what?
Almost great.
What profession did they think I would be best at? Interior decorating.
They did.
Wow.
And my wife will not let me decorate anything. It doesn't matter. I just get to choose where the guitars go. That's about it.
Got it.
But yeah, no.
What about you, Lena? Are you good at like walking into an empty room and figuring out where things are supposed to go? And, I maximizing the
agree with
space?
Morgan.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
the
like-
most fun part.
Send me to like Home Goods and tell me to decorate a room.
exactly.
Like, leave me alone for hours.
I got an office that could use redecorating. Figure it out.
You said you don't decorate your office because you have to stay.
No, well,
have to
you
stay
could
out of it.
rearrange the furniture. I don't know.
Okay, true.
That's just a lazy thing too. And if I have a chair or a couch that's comfortable, until it's got multiple holes in it, that's staying where it is. Because if it's
Every
good
last
for
winter.
napping, then it stays.
That's good for Greg.
That's right. Greg needs nap.
What about you, Ray?
Nah.
Yeah,
I'm more like Greg in that
Yeah,
world.
we're just old guys. That's all.
That's okay.
Okay, I'm just
You
an
guys
old
have
guy.
me and Lena to decorate if we ever.
I still have a lot of fun. Although, I spoke to my son for the first time in a couple of days because he tends to call my wife now. First it was me when he needed stuff. Where do I get this? How do I do that? Now he's like, got all that. So now he just calls my wife. But it's funny because it's almost like he's talking a different language about some things. And
He's growing up.
yeah, no, it's he's finding his way and he's
Good, as he should. That's what like the first few months of college are for.
well, and he seems to be having a little too much fun. And I don't mean like
Also,
partying.
but
I think he's like, he's working out way too much. Even he's saying he's kind of
I mean, that's
addicted to
pretty
working out.
Good
No, if
habit
it
for
keeps
what
him
most
out of trouble,
first-time college
Right.
kids exactly go through.
You
I
know,
think that's
just
certainly
study, in between reps. You gotta,
Yeah, exactly. In between sets.
All right, so we haven't seen mortgage rates behave the way we thought. The Fed made their announcement. cutting the Fed funds rate, and mortgage rates went up because they can move in different directions. So now we've had 2 straight weeks of increases in the average 30-year conforming rate. Here's something that I bet you most of you don't realize. I'm sure Scott knows this. So the average last week was 6.34%. Again, that's conforming mortgages, depending on your relationship and credit score and all that can change. But a year ago, rates were lower, 6.12%. Because remember, we had that big decline, and then rates went up, and then we're kissing 7% all of a sudden. So where are you seeing this right now? What do you think is going to happen?
It is pretty amazing, though, and I touched on this a little bit earlier. I'll talk to clients about what's happening with the Fed, and we'll say, all right, they have 2 more Fed meetings, and we'll talk about, okay, here's when they cut last year, and this is what happened with mortgage rates, and then they cut again this year, and we saw interest rates go up, and clients inevitably are like, yeah, let's still wait. Let's wait and see what happens when they cut again. It's like that psyche of people just like really focused on, hearing the fact that there's a rate cut, that it's going to positively impact them. Look, there's a change. There's a little bit of a blip. I think for me personally with my pipeline, a lot of my clients locked in their rates in advance of the Fed meeting because of our experience. The clients who are floating, and there's not that many of them, but most of them are buying a home. They might need to go through a co-op board, so there's more of a time horizon there for them. I don't think there's much panic. I don't think it's not like they're anticipating a rates are going from 6.1 to 7% tomorrow. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, really. So it's still trading within a pretty tight range here, so I don't think there's much panic out there. But it's something obviously we're watching very closely.
Well, I think the biggest difference between now and a year ago was at least a year ago we thought we had a vibrant job market and we thought the economy was firing on all cylinders. Now that's clearly not the case.
That's a great point.
So I think that, this could be a case where obviously there's always a response that happens that, there's always some bizarro thing going on that doesn't make sense. But then when you look at the ADP numbers, and who knows when the BLS number will come out, but it should be something similar, I would think. Or then we'll really throw our hands up in the air because we won't know what's going on. But I think that, when you have such sluggish job growth or job loss and hiring doesn't seem like it's going to pick up anytime soon, you would expect rates to come down because inflation's going to have to come down with it. Because the consumer's still spending at a really decent clip, but at some point they got to cry uncle, right? Morgan, is that now? Are you planning ahead for leaner times or what? Does Gen Z do that?
No, I don't think we plan ahead at all.
Live in the now.
All right, the Gen Z person said that, not the old cranky people.
No, I genuinely do. I think we're a very what is the word? And you're jumping around from spontaneous generation.
Okay, I was going to say ADHD, but it's
I would
fine.
say more spontaneous than millennials. Would you think so?
We're pretty spontaneous, but you guys have taken it to a different level for sure. Yeah, I think so.
Had to be so reactive in the things that have happened to them. Unfortunately, there's been so many things that they've had to absorb and be like, okay, this is how it is now. And when it comes to buying a home, when it comes to doing all of these things, And I feel like Gen Zers we observed that. We were young, but we observed it, and then now we're going up making
well, I think so. We had the financial crisis when I graduated college. So that generation really they were in it, going into the job market during a time where the financial situation was not great. And then you have Gen Z during COVID, kind of seeing that same exact thing happen to them. And it's these 2 monumental events that impact people's lives in a big way, then it'll impact kind of how you're seeing things. So COVID being something from more of a social perspective where maybe you do want to be a little spontaneous, hey, we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring because they could shut the world down, so we may as well go travel now and do something.
These younger generations, they're talking about, we went through both those things and this thing called the Cold War.
At these formative
and the tail
years.
end of Vietnam. we went through these things.
These,
and right now there's somebody at home who's like, I fought World War II. Like, what? Yeah. Tell these kids to shut up.
I'm not saying to cry for us. All I'm saying is during these formative years.
It sounded like you were saying to cry. Listen, Evita, don't tell us not to cry now.
I think it was on Amy Poehler's podcast. She said something, and it was so funny. It was she was like, boomers are like, it's all about the money. And then I think it's Gen X, maybe.
You're talking about my generation.
Your generation is like, is it all about the money? The millennials are like, where is the money? And Gen Z is like, what is money?
Yeah, who needs money? What's that green stuff you're holding?
That is really good.
Is, right? I thought
great.
That was so good.
No, that's the fun part, is making fun of generations.
Listen, every generation goes through something. Right, so I'm strictly highlighting what it went through.
She went through, we went through it. You went through, and we went through a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and home prices were. Yeah, and you could buy a home for $80,000 back then.
But I didn't. Like homes have never been like so cheap. It's never been like everybody had one. Now nobody has one.
Yeah,
I was 37 when I bought my house. It didn't. You know, it's not as easy as people think. I don't know why a lot of people think, especially in metropolitan areas, that you can have a home in your mid-20s. It never worked that way.
Yeah.
You know, even in Long Island, people go, well, why didn't you buy a home? It's like, well, because I paid for my wedding and you didn't, or, you know, whatever. Nobody gave me down payment money.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's also, people have to understand that it's never been an easy thing to do. And, you know, adjust that $80,000 for inflation and tell me what it is today. Mm-hmm. You know, that's another thing people don't do. And, you know, that's why as we get older and crankier, we're just going to be like, I don't want to hear it. It's like, oh my God, you know, you went through COVID. That was a terrible thing. So did I, and I was older than you and had more to worry about. You guys were young and healthy. We were old. You know?
Aziz Ansari, the stand-up comedian, has a great joke where he says his parents immigrated from India to the States with like $12 in their pocket. Mm-hmm. And they built a life, they became doctors, and it was incredible. And he's like, if you gave me $12 from India, like I'd blow it all on fresh pressed juice, like my first hour of being in the States. Like I don't know how to do it. It's like and then he goes on to say, like, what hardships am I going to be able to tell my kids that I went through, because I haven't gone through anything. It's like, son, I took this flight from New York to LA, no Wi-Fi at all, the entire flight. Like I didn't know what to do. It's like,
I yell at my son about it. Anytime he complains about college, I'm like, oh, wait, so you're dormant up there. You're not working. Yeah. I was like, I know you had 2 jobs in college. Yes, I did. I was taking 8 o'clock in the morning classes.
In the band also.
And I had rehearsals. I had to be at every home game. If you missed 3 games, you lost your scholarship. Yeah. Like, even if you were sick, they didn't care.
And someone is listening right now and saying they had 3 jobs.
And please email CTL at bhosa.com.
Pain and hardship is relative.
I want to hear your pain. Because I have a lot of it, so I sympathize. You know, we're here for you.
A therapy session.
No,
with Greg.
You know, the thing is,
episode 100, Greg's therapy.
I only had to go back to my grandmother to hear about the Depression, you know, and what it was like to worry if you were going to eat, you know, or if you were going to be evicted. Mm-hmm. And I only had to go back to my father to hear what it was like during World War II. You know, it was like being a kid when the war in Korea and all that stuff. Now, your generation is going to have to go back a couple more generations to find out. And I think, you know,
I feel like we hear for that for us is like 2008 and like all that happened then. Like, I feel like that's what my generation looks back to, of like the stuff that older people like was really, really hard.
And I think that because people didn't understand what was happening. Yeah. And, you know, my son was born in 2007. So I wasn't sleeping to begin with at that point. And now all of a sudden things I've never heard of or thought about, like credit default swaps. You know, it would have been nice if The Big Short would have come out before the financial crisis. 100%. Then we would have been well versed in it. You know, those lessons from Margot Robbie and Selena Gomez would have come in a lot handier if it had been told before.
Absolutely.
I think it's, you know, my grandmother always used to say, things only get worse. And in this country, they never get better. I'm like, thanks, Grandma. Can I have a treat now?
She had a point.
She always had plenty of food for us and ice cream, but, you know, she didn't have a lot of optimism. But, you know, she when you grew up or in their case were married during the Depression, you know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think it's an experience thing, and a lot of it is envy. I envy what my son's going through now because I didn't have that opportunity to go away to school. room with my buddies from high school,
Yeah.
not have to work.
It's a special time.
I
for
want
sure.
him to have that, and he's holding up his end of the deal. So I guess that's it. We're running a little long. Did you have fun? It's been a while since we've
I
had
had
you
so
on.
much fun. I know I haven't been on in a minute. This
is
was
great.
very enjoyable. This is lovely.
Okay, well, we'll have you back on. We'll just bump Scott. He won't care.
It's fine. Totally fine.
No.
Then you know,
I feel like we have a good banter.
I
We give
agree.
us good.
it's all about the host, isn't it,
All
Ray?
right. All right.
And the production also. You know,
Yeah.
we know what we're doing
Of
around
course.
here.
Could not do anything without Ray and Lena.
It may have taken us a couple of episodes, but we figured it out eventually. But I want to thank Lone Daddy and Morgan and Ray and
Thank you.
Lena.
Bless
And
you, Ray.
each and every one of you, I have all your names here. We're going to name all of them right now. Thanks for all the support, all of you listeners and viewers out there. And what can I say other than have a great week and be thankful the Jets are playing Sunday morning, so by lunchtime you can already start forgetting how badly they played. But don't let that ruin your week. Have a great time. See you next week.